Hello, welcome back to Carly K Knits. This is the second installment on my channel of me gabbing about all things fiber arts and yarn and knitting and the things that I'm making and things I will be making and basically anything that I just feel like talking about. You have caught me on my couch doing what I do best, working on a lovely little sock and being in my natural knitting environment. This is where I get most of my work done, in this little hole on my couch that I've created for myself in front of my television so that I can watch my shows and knit my things. I'll do a little shout out of my current whip that I'm working on right now. This is the Willful Wallflower sock by Lauren Rad, or A Bee in the Bonnet on Instagram, and this is part of her 2024 Golden Honey Sock Club. I know she just released the 2025 one and I'm very excited to work on that as well, but I loved the patterns in the 2024 ones so much. I thought they were so gorgeous that I bought that one first, and I'm just behind. I will be behind and I don't care. But anyways, this isn't what today's video is actually going to be about. Today's video is about my most recently completed project. Recently, and by recently I mean literally last night, I finished my first of two Halibut sweaters by Caitlin Hunter. I am so excited to have finished this sweater. I am obsessed with the Halibut sweater, as is basically the entire internet. The current obsession that the knitting internet has right now with fish and sweaters is something that I never expected, but I just absolutely love. I guess fish and sweaters do go together because, like, fisherman's sweater is a thing. Like, people who fish often are wearing sweaters. Like, that's just like a thing. But putting fish on sweaters and making sweaters that have fish and just knitwear in general with fish on it, I'm obsessed. I think it is so much fun. And I got so much inspiration from watching Sweater Weather Ceramics, or Amanda, on Instagram, and the incredible rainbow trout sweater that she has made with Lang Cloud Yarns tweed. That yarn knits up to look exactly like rainbow trout, and I am so excited to make that sweater sometime in the future. As soon as I can afford to get some of that yarn in my hands, I will be making that sweater. It's too fun not to make. But anyway, my personal obsession with fish and sweaters aside, today's video, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about my first experience knitting the Halibut sweater by Caitlin Hunter. And I also thought it would be fun to take you through the process of wet blocking it, because I have not done that yet. Like I said, I literally just finished it last night. And just talk about the blocking process in general. When I first started knitting, I truly believed that blocking was like a scam. Like, I didn't think you needed to do it. I thought it was unnecessary. I thought it was just like a weird niche thing that people did. But after I had knit enough projects and started wet blocking them when they were done, I truly realized just how much of an impact that blocking things can make on a garment. I also just personally love watching other people's videos with the transformation that blocking does on different garments. I think it's such a magical thing to see. My first Halibut sweater I knit for my husband. I decided to knit his first because it was in a larger size, and then I felt like the one that I would make for myself that's a little bit smaller would then feel easier because it wouldn't take as long and I would already know how to do it. So I thought that was my logic in the order of making them. I am so stoked for this sweater in particular because my husband is a larger man and I am not a skinny person. So having a pattern that is so size inclusive that I could make sweaters for both my husband and me and know that they were gonna fit is so appealing to me. And I'm just so obsessed with all size inclusive designs. And I probably will just not make anything that doesn't come in a wide size range anymore, because I think all patterns should be graded to fit many, many sizes from very small to very large, so that anyone who wants to make and wear any of these can. And granted, I am not a designer. I don't know everything that goes into size grading. I think the people who are designing patterns that do care about size inclusivity, the effort that they put in to make sure that their sizes are graded appropriately, shout out to you, because I just am so appreciative that things like that exist out here in this world, especially at this time when the world is a freaking nightmare. I am so grateful for people who do think about the diversity of the population and people who do care about making sure that everyone has access to things. I think that's so important. Anyway, off my soapbox now. Let's take a look at the actual sweater, shall we? So here she is. I am obsessed. I'm obsessed with this color combination. My husband picked all of this out at our local yarn store. Shout out to Liz at the Village Knittery here in coastal Virginia. She is the closest local yarn store to me, and I'm obsessed with her and her store and everything that she does for the community. And I'm also so grateful for her recommendation of yarn to use for this. This is knit in Kelborn Woolen Scout in Autumn Heather for the fish, and the rest of it is in Teal Heather. Now that I have been given this recommendation, I am truly obsessed with Kelborn Woolens. Obsessed with the brand. I am not being paid to say this, but everything that I have seen about not only their product that they make, everything about their business, I just love it. I'm a huge shout out to Kelborn Woolens. I have a new favorite yarn to work with too. Not only is their business amazing, but their materials are incredible. I loved knitting with this yarn, and I love everything that it has to offer. These heather colors in Scout are so multi-dimensional. I think it's so gorgeous that just a blue yarn can have so much depth to it. And this Autumn Heather goldish, it's got like little bits of gold, little bits of maroon, little bits of green. Oh, I love it so much. And I can't wait to buy more. I will be making my halibut sweater also out of Scout. I haven't picked colors yet, but that's coming. It will be happening soon. I will be picking colors and I will be making my own. I don't have a whole lot of like progress pictures or videos or anything about this because I didn't decide I was gonna start filming videos until I was already like mostly done with this sweater. So I started this right before Christmas because I got this yarn as a Christmas present to myself so that I could have something to work on and knit through the holiday season. And I am so glad that I did because I got so much work done. I got so much of this sweater done over the holidays and it was so much fun. I am filming this early February. It took me, you know, let's call it most of January basically to make this. Something that I have not done before is a circular yoke on a sweater. I've done raglan increases, I've done just like top down where you do like the back panel and the front panel and you cast on from the back panel to the front panel and you usually do like a short row thing with the neck and whatever. I haven't done a bottom up sweater. I don't know if I will. The issue I have with bottom up sweaters is they're hard to try on as you go, and I feel like you just got to try things on as you go to make sure that they're gonna work, but maybe that's just me. And I also haven't done a sweater where you knit it fully flat in panels and then you sew the panels together. That also seems hard and I have not done that yet. But this is my first circular yoke and I think that I am obsessed. It's for the same reasons that I love raglan sweaters. I love that it's just all one piece and the only thing you have to cast on from it are the arms. I have so many circular yoke sweaters saved to make now. Oh my God, I have so many on my list. It was really daunting because I was really worried about the color chart and the increases because I didn't think I really understood how the increases in the color chart worked. This is only my second colorwork sweater. I've done 2 colorwork sweater vests, I've done another colorwork sweater, and I've done a colorwork sock. But that is all the color work that I've done. So this is only the second full sweater I've done with a color chart. I really thought that I was gonna have a harder time with it, and I didn't. I had a great time with it. It was a joy to knit, and I'm gonna be making circular yoke colorwork sweaters far more. It has inspired me, should I ever decide I want to design a sweater one day, I'll bet you $1 million that it will be a circular yoke colorwork sweater because they're too fun not to do. As far as the specifics of this pattern goes, there are a few different neck options that are put in the pattern that you can follow or not. And I decided to go with the mock neck, mostly because that's what my husband wanted. I asked his opinion on how he would like his neck to be. He went with the mock neck, which I think is really cool and it looks really good on him. The only other mod that I made, and I did this at the advice of the knitting sisters, Callie and Kay and Bobby. I'll link all of their Instagrams and YouTube pages in the description below, but they all knit the Halibut sweater not too long ago. And one of the mods that they made was regarding the arms. Like them, I don't like a tight arm on a sweater, and I know that my husband doesn't like a tight arm on a sweater. It's uncomfortable. You don't want that like pressure. Maybe that's just me, but I just don't like it. And it seems like in the pattern, the rate at which you decrease seems like pretty fast. And I wanted to make sure that these were wide, comfortable arms. So at the advice of the knitting sisters, I did what they did, where I only did decreases every 10 rows. And I think I ended up doing a total of like 8 decreases. So, you know, they really don't have a whole lot of taper to them, but you know, it's just enough. It's just enough. Seeing it on my subject, on my husband, on my model, it looks good. They don't look too tight. They look like they fit very well. The other thing that I learned from this project is something that I have known about, but didn't really look into until, again, after I was done with the relevant part of this particular sweater, which is color dominance in stranded color work. I knew that was a thing. I knew that there was something about how you hold your yarns to make sure that your accent color is more prominent. I knew that was a thing, but I just never really looked into it. And like I said, I haven't done a ton of color work, so it's not something that's been like high priority for me. But because this pattern is probably the most intricate color chart that I've done, afterwards, looking at it, I understand what they're talking about. And I watched a video and realized that I was in fact holding my yarns incorrectly. And you can tell it definitely looks a little sunken in the places where the accent color is coming through. And I think that if I had switched the positioning of my yarns, it would be a little bit more prominent. And I don't hate how this looks, actually. I think that it's kind of cool that the pattern ends up looking a little bit more subtle. And it's another thing that I'm interested to see if it changes with how it looks after it's blocked, to see if evening out some of the tension, evening out some of the increases around the circular yoke will make the accent color pop a little bit more. Now that we've kind of talked through the process of making this, let's do a little before so that we can see what this looked like on Christopher before we block it, and then we can do a little see it after. Yeah? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to a different angle of my living room. Oh, hey, 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 stop fighting. Mommy's trying to film. Breaking up fights with cats. It's an everyday occurrence in my house. I swear to God, they do really love each other, but sometimes they get too intense with their playing, and sometimes it turns into fighting, and it needs to stop. Stop it, Bob. Okay, so here she is in all of her glory. She is gorgeous. I love her. I love the colors. I love everything about it. The other fun thing about this blocking process for this sweater in particular is that I did not do a gauge swatch. Some people never swatch. I am a in-between swatcher. Sometimes I will swatch if I feel like it, but I was just too excited to start this that I just didn't do it. And fortunately, it came out great, and it definitely will fit. What I don't know is exactly how much this is going to grow when it is blocked. I don't know how much this is going to bloom, so that will be a nice fun mystery for both of us to find out together, you and me, both in the dark. Anyways, here she is in all her glory. Soon we will see her on who it belongs to be on. Woo, yay, here we go.
Ooh, fun. I learned how to record a voiceover. Anyways, here's Christopher in his halibut sweater pre-blocking. He's also in his jammy pants. I am so happy with how this looks on him and so glad that it looks like it fits him pretty well even before blocking. You can see in the body of the sweater and the arms look just a little bit short and tight, and I'm hoping that doing some strategic stretching will give both of these areas a little bit more room. I'm also planning on doing a little stretching of the ribbing on the bottom hem of the body and the arms to also help the sweater hang a little more rather than cling. But anyways, look how cute he is in his little sweater. I love it so much.
Okay, now let's get into blocking, and that shall start in my kitchen.
I also figured out a time lapse. Anyway, here I am filling up my bucket that I got from the Mother of Yarn's grand opening, which I love. I'm putting some lukewarm water in and just a tiny bit of this like off-brand woolite that I typically use. One day I'd like to get some like Euclid no rinse wool wash. Anyway, so I filled it up most of the way, and I'm gonna stick my sweater in the bucket, make sure it's thoroughly saturated, and I am gonna add just a little bit more water on the top of this to make sure that it is fully submerged. But yeah, now I'm just going to take it to my bathroom where I can shut the door, because if I don't, these cats will try to drink out of this bucket because they're not very bright, and he's not allowed in here, so time to say goodbye to Bob, and we'll let that soak, okay?
And now's the time that we get to take a little break while that soaks. I let my sweaters and items that I am wet blocking soak for any range of times. There are times that I completely forget that I am even soaking something at all, so I will leave it for hours. I'll forget about it entirely, especially when it's in a closed room, like my bathroom with the door shut. I'll forget it's even there, and I'll come back to it hours later and be like, oh, probably should rinse that out. Sometimes I'm very impatient. I will give myself like 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour or something, and I'll be like, you're coming out. You're coming out and getting rinsed in like 30 minutes. I haven't noticed a really big difference in how things come out based on how long you soak them for. That's not something that I've noticed a big deal on. Maybe some people do, I don't know. Maybe I'm not paying close enough attention, but I'm not really seeing any major difference. So now that that is soaking, we can take a little break and we can work on our little sock here while I watch my show. And as soon as it is done soaking, as long as I remember that it's even there, we will be back and I'll show you rinsing it out and laying it out flat, and we'll go on from there. Okay, see you in a minute.
Okay, so now it's rinse time. So basically, I am just pushing out as much of the soapy water from this as I can. This is a soap that you're supposed to rinse out, and I do my best. Basically, I just try to squish out as much water as possible, and then I put it back in clean water, let it sit for a second, and then drain the water out again. It is much harder to get the water out of larger garments like this, so you can see me struggling to get water out. Yeah. So, what you're not gonna see here is that I did put this in my washing machine for a quick spin cycle. I didn't even do the full spin cycle, but that just helps get most of the water out. And then I'm back in my office / craft room, just setting up my blocking mats. I just bought these brand new ones from Costco, which is also why I am struggling to put them together, because I haven't even taken all of the edges off of these. But anyway, once I have them all set up, I am gonna just lay out my towels so that I can roll my sweater up, squish out as much water as possible. This isn't as necessary as it normally would be because I did the spin cycle on the washer, but I'm doing it anyway, just to get as much water out as possible so that it dries as quickly as possible. But yeah, here I am, squishing out water, squish, 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 yeah. And then I am just gonna start laying this out flat. I wanna make sure that the circular yoke, the color work, is as flat as possible, make sure my sleeves are as flat as possible, and that everything looks really even. So you'll see me making some smaller adjustments to like the bottom edge of the body, making sure that the ribbing on the sleeves and the body are stretched out a good amount so everything looks like it's hanging straight. And also, yeah, just making sure that the color work is all very flat so that those floats get stretched out. And here she is, laying all flat, ready to dry. See ya tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to tomorrow. I let her dry overnight with a fan on her and she dried perfectly. I did one flip this morning when I first woke up to just make sure that both sides were thoroughly dried. But here's the result. Look at how beautifully gorgeous this stretched out. Oh, it's so pretty. I would say that the biggest change that occurred is it actually just got wider. Like I think stretching out the color work really gave it a lot more width, which is also good. I'm really intrigued to see how this looks on a human person. So in a moment, I will have Christopher come out here and try it on for you. It definitely did gain a little bit of length and width in the arms. I did make sure to try to stretch out the ribbing so that it would hang straight as much as I could. One of my fears was that the neck was going to stretch out too wide and would be like a weird scoop neck situation, but it looks like it didn't do that. I did on purpose try to not mess with the neck as much as possible and just try to make it look as close to what it was before as possible because I really liked how it looked on Christopher before. So I tried not to stretch it out too much and I think I succeeded. I think it got a little bit bigger, but it definitely didn't stretch out. I'm really pleased with how this looks after blocking. It feels like it even got softer. Let's have our subject try it on, shall we? I love when things come out good. Okay, so we are with our subject now, our lovely model Christopher, in his newly blocked Halibut Sweater. How do you feel?
It's good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, you like wearing it?
I'm surprised at how like much I can tell where the color work is.
It's double thickness. Yeah. It's double thickness where the color work is.
But I like it.
Yeah,
I think it fits way better than it did before.
Yeah, I mean,
my arms aren't going as far.
Do me a turn to the front. Do me a turn to the everywhere.
Turn to the everywhere.
It looks like the arms definitely hang a little longer than they were before, and I think the body is a little longer than it was before.
Yeah.
I think the one mistake I made, I think, is I should have just made the body a little bit longer. Like I should have gone another inch or something.
But we tried it on.
Yeah, we tried it on as we went, and I had a lot of high hopes for the blocking part of it, and I think most of my high hopes worked. I was just talking about how I was worried that this would stretch out too much and it would be like a weird scoop neck and this would be out on your shoulders.
Fine.
Yeah, this turned out like really good. I'm very pleased with how the neck turned out. That was one of my greater fears. But yeah, oh, I'm glad you like it.
It looks good.
Yay, I'm so glad. Hooray!
I think it's the best sweater I've ever owned.
Yeah?
Yeah, even in my life where I've owned sweaters, I don't think I've ever had one that's, and I'm not saying this just because you made it. That is part of the reason why I love it.
I cry.
It is like, it's like really nice.
Yeah, it feels good, right?
Like I'm
the yarn feels nice. I feel like it came out.
It got way softer. It's very comfortable. It's not super warm. I was like worried about wearing it to work because it was going to be too hot.
It's a good layer, I think. It's a good layering sweater.
Yeah.
Good
oh
layering.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well, thank you for being my model, and this is your sweater now.
Thank you.
Yay! Okay, bye.
Bye.
Go back to your very cool things that you do that you will see soon on the internet. Again, a big thank you to Christopher for being my lovely model because he's who the sweater's for, so I'm gonna make him wear it. I wanna see what it looks like on the actual human. I do kinda wanna try it on and just see what it feels like. But I have my own halibut sweater to come, and when it comes to fruition, I'm sure you will see pictures on Instagram if you follow me on Instagram at Carly K Knits. And any other progress that I have coming up on new things that I'm working on. I have a couple of whips in progress and ideas for some new videos coming out. So like my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the little notification bell if you want notifications for when my new videos come out, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna come out on a pretty sporadic schedule whenever I feel like putting a video out. Maybe one day it will be more specific in the future. But thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.